Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City, here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, so welcome back. We had a couple of court rulings today regarding Obamacare. They're kind of conflicting rulings. First, we had the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit Court weigh in a panel voting that the subsidies for Obamacare are illegal. And then we heard from the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals saying basically in a similar ruling or a similar case that the subsidies were in fact legal. So what does this mean? Joining us now is Sally Pipes, president of the Pacific Research Institute and healthcare policy expert. Hello, Sally.
Hello, Steve. How are you?
I'm fine. I was very encouraged earlier before the second ruling came down. And now we have one ruling on each side. You're more familiar with them than I am. So are these both the same kinds of cases, almost specifically the same, and the rulings are just completely opposite?
Well, the first one, which I was very excited about because Pacific Research Institute filed an amicus brief in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia. That was a Hallbig versus originally Sebelius, but then became Hallbig versus Burwell when she took over from Sebelius as Secretary of HHS. I thought it was a three-judge panel, and two judges ruled that the subsidies being paid to people who signed up for exchanges that were run by the federal government, not the state exchanges. Because in the law, in the Affordable Care Act, it said that only individuals who get their health insurance on a state-based exchange are eligible for the subsidies. And as you know, see, 36 states decided that they weren't going to set up their own exchanges, and they're all under healthcare.gov. This is a very important ruling, but it was a three-judge panel. So when they ruled that it was illegal for these people, about 5 million people, to receive subsidies from the federal government to purchase health insurance in these healthcare.gov exchanges. So that was very important. But the second case, which just came down a little bit later, in the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals in Virginia, they ruled they gave a conflicting decision. So where do we go from here? I think that what will happen is the Fourth Circuit case may well go right to the Supreme Court of the United States, rather than waiting on the D.C. Circuit for an en banc panel to make a decision and then apply to go to the Supreme Court. So it's very interesting day. But I was basically very pleased with the original D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals decision.
Sure, and I think if I read the summary of the Fourth Circuit decision, which ruled that they were legal, the subsidies were legal, basically they were talking about how it's such an integral part of the Affordable Care Act and these subsidies, and how basically they couldn't the act could not exist without them. Again, I didn't go in depth, and I'm not questioning the legal qualifications of those who wrote the decision and made the decision. However, if that's kind of the argument, it almost seems that they'd be superseding the language and of the law, almost to say, well, the law can't stand if this is not allowed, so we have to allow it to make the law stand. And I don't know how that flies, when push comes to shove in the Supreme Court. Am I accurately summarizing the gist of the decision in the Fourth Circuit?
Yes, absolutely. And I think, we saw in June 2012 in the Supreme Court ruling with Chief Justice Roberts saying that the law, was legal. It wasn't. I mean, the whole issue of the mandate and things, that it was legal. So that was disappointing. But now I think it's going to be very interesting if this case goes immediately to the Supreme Court for this fall. How will the justices rule? I think, we know that Justices Thomas, Alito, and Scalia will probably agree with the judges in the district court ruling that there was no mention in the Affordable Care Act the only people eligible would be people who are getting their coverage through a state-based exchange. I think the government and President Obama had no idea that 36 states would say, hey, we can't do this. And we're seeing more states that are saying their exchanges failed in Oregon and Hawaii and Maryland. You'll probably see healthcare.gov even expand. So I think, it's very important that this be taken up by the Supreme Court. But if the court rules that these subsidies are illegal under the law, I think this will be the demise of the Affordable Care Act. It's going to it's a big nail in the coffin of Obamacare.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. It makes one wonder. Certainly, the Congress could change the wording. I've heard it argued already today after the D.C. Ruling that it's just a wording issue basically. But of course, Congress, led by the Republicans, they're not going to readdress this and change the wording in a law that they were shut out of even consideration for drafting.
Right, exactly. So, this would have to go through the House, and it's not going to happen. The president has probably made 31 changes to the law by his own executive order, and it'll be interesting to see. I haven't seen any comment yet from him on how he is reacting.
Well, that's another thing, Sally, not to interrupt you, but I'm shocked that it got this far. I'm shocked when they realized this problem, he just didn't change it. I mean, he's changed so many parts of the law. Why not say, oh, well, I'm going to add this word here, that word there, and I'm going to make it okay? I'm shocked.
Right, exactly. And I think, who knows what will happen, but he may well try to do that because he's done it in so many cases with delaying the employer mandate, delaying the individual mandate, saying that people didn't have to prove that they were eligible for these subsidies by providing, tax information. So, he may well try to do this, but it has to be done through Congress. I think it is going to go to the court. Yeah,
if he tries to do it, he better do it before the Supreme Court gets it, because if he tries to do it after the Supreme Court says you can't do it, then we got ourselves a very scary situation. Sally, thank you very much. We'll see how this plays out. Thanks for being there for us today. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve. Bye.
My pleasure. Sally Pipes, ladies and gentlemen, the Pacific Research Institute. Very conflicting decisions today, but it's going to be very interesting to see. And this is key. This is huge, ladies and gentlemen, because this is a foundation. These subsidies are a foundation of the Affordable Care Act. And if the D.C. Circuit, position, or their panel's position, a 2-to-1 panel, should emerge the position of the U.S. Supreme Court, then I don't see how Obamacare survives. I don't see how it survives at all. If the subsidies are gone in the way as we've already described, the state, if you get it through the state exchange, you can have it, but if there's no state exchange, if you get it through Obamacare, you can't get the subsidy, then what happens? We shall see. We'll keep you up to date on all this, and we'll be back with more of the Steve Malzberg Show. Don't go away.